Do you want to know the 5 biggest myths about evangelism in the Christian church today? Certainly, even among regular churchgoers, a popular one is that personal evangelism is viewed as confrontational and argumentative. It will certainly turn people off to Christianity. I wanted to show you a note that was dropped off to me by a young female student at a college in Florida a few years ago. She had professed to be a Christian, and after a brief conversation had left, only to come back and drop off this note. I kept the note as a reminder that many churchgoers today consider personal evangelism to be offensive. Imagine. What's the alternative? Forgetting that Jesus said to go and make disciples everywhere and not telling them about Jesus and leaving them lost into eternity? But today, sadly, personal evangelism doesn't seem to be a priority in much of the Christian world and in many of its churches as well. According to a recent Barna study, nearly half of the millennial practicing Christians say it is wrong to evangelize. 47%. Ouch. These are the folks who are young and should be on fire with a passion to share their faith in Jesus with others, at least with their own generation. Instead, evangelism, telling others about Jesus, seems to be culturally inappropriate. It might even hurt their feelings, even hateful. So probably the biggest myth about personal evangelism in the church today is that evangelism like that is viewed as confrontational and argumentative. So stay tuned. We'll talk about 4 more of the biggest myths about evangelism in Christianity today. Here's number 2, and closely related to number 1. From an early age, we're told that people don't want to talk about religion or about politics. That is not polite. Obviously, personal evangelism, telling others about the kingdom of God, was hugely important to Jesus. He seemed to think it was important. But the world and Satan will tell you something different, that it's not polite, that your friends don't want to talk about religion or God or faith or Jesus. You could even lose a friend if you do that. In Matthew 28, at the very end of his earthly ministry, Jesus gave the Great Commission. He gave it to his disciples and to us to go and to make disciples everywhere for all time until he comes again. Or as we like to say on ERVA, go. Just go. It's how God took the 12 disciples, then to 120 in the upper room, adding 3,000 at Pentecost. God added daily to the early church, and within a few years, people could say that these men, these people, had turned the world upside down, and they have come here now as well. So how come in the modern American church, personal evangelism is rarely mentioned beyond a passing reference in Sunday sermon? Number 3 is this. Evangelism is somebody else's job. The pastors, the evangelists, the missionaries. All I have to do is invite people to church, especially at Christmas and Easter, and they give me an invitation card to do that. It makes evangelism comfortable for many Christians. They're off the hook. It's somebody else's job. So what about the thousands and thousands in our city who will never darken the door of a church? Many have grown up in a church only to leave it as a young adult, or they've experienced religion in the past, but today really don't want any part of it. In a world that is increasingly at war with the Christian faith, in a typical American church, there's no testimonies on how believers witnessed to their friends and family how new believers came to accept Jesus. No mentoring of young people on how they might personally share the good news with their friends and family, and no mention of methods of evangelism that convict the lost. So number 3, evangelism is someone else's job. The pastor, the evangelist, the missionary, anyone but me. And here's another dangerous myth, myth number 4. If I am patient, my friends and family will see the difference in my life, and they'll ask me about what makes me different. And then I'd be able to tell them about my faith, about my Christianity. I'm really more into relationships. It's a myth that's prevalent in the world today. Years ago, when I was leading a Bible study group on evangelism, one man volunteered how a woman at the factory where he worked had asked him about what made him different, how he was different than the other men in the factory. And he had a chance to tell them about his faith. At this point in the group discussion, I was really excited. But I made the mistake of asking him when this had happened, thinking it had been in the last few days or just a short while ago. Sadly, he told me that it had been a few years, how sad it is. How sad it is that apparently it had been several years since he had been able to witness. So hold on for just a moment more, and we'll get to the top myth about evangelism, perhaps the most damaging to the growth of his church. But if you like this channel, hit the like button and subscribe. In the comments below, add and tell us what you think are the most dangerous myths about evangelism in the church today. So what do I think is the most dangerous myth about evangelism in the church today and in Christianity today? It's this: I can't do this. I can't do evangelism. That's not my gift. It's the fear of rejection, a fear of someone else thinking less of us, that we might even be called a fanatic. The truth is, we can't do this, but God can through us. In fact, he's really good at this evangelism stuff. In the Great Commission, Jesus promised to be with us always, always. And we're not given a spirit of fear anyways, but of power and love and sound judgment. God doesn't call you to save people, to offer salvation. That would be foolish. He does that. Instead, he just told us to go, to make ourselves available, to be obedient to his Great Commission. He has given you and me the responsibility to be a sower of his word, of the kingdom of God, of Jesus, to spread seed across the ground and trust him to provide the growth. So, if you know you should be sharing Jesus but don't know how to, or perhaps how to get started, or perhaps you're already telling others about Jesus on a regular basis but would like someone else to work alongside, well, there's good news. That's what ERVA is all about. That's what evangelism, RVA, is all about. So here's a personal call to action. Take that first step. Decide in your mind that you will have a spiritual conversation with someone this week. Don't wait. Don't wait till next week. Do it this week. You can do it. 2, connect with us at ERVA. You're not alone in this. That's really what ERVA is all about. Here's our email, evangelizerva@gmail.com, our website, evangelizerva.org, and our YouTube videos like this at Evangelize RVA. That's what Evangelize RVA is all about: encouraging, equipping, and evangelizing Christians working together to bring Jesus to a city that is hurting. Join us on this God adventure, and we'll see what God is doing in this city. See you in the next video.